Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our C programming. And today, this is week 4. Today, what are we going to study? We are going to study selection structures. So, we will consider if and switch statements. So, we will consider how you can make logical reasoning in terms of decision making. So, we'll see what the if statement is. Then we will also see the equality operators. We will also consider some of the logical operators we have. Then we'll see if statements in one alternate, then two alternatives, and three or more alternatives. Then we also see nested if, and if in another if statement. Then we will end with the switch statement. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so if you are in Africa, you've been using mobile money. So a typical example of this logical reason of decision making is the mobile money. If you are using MTN, if you dial star 170 hash, then there will be a list of options you can choose from. Okay, so now if a user chooses an option and you want to implement the method or whatever implementation it is for the option the user chose, how are you going to write that condition? How are you going to, if you have option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, option 5, and so on? So if a user choose option 1, what syntax will you write to implement the what needs to be done when option 1 or option 2 or option 3 is selected? Okay, so that's one practical example. So after this course, you should have a structure of how it works, not the implementation but how it works. For example, if a user choose option let me dial star 17, so star 170 hash. Okay, so this is the MTN mobile money. So for the MTN, option 1 is, I think, transfer you transfer money. So transfer money is option 1. Option 2 is Momo Pay and Pay Bill. Option 3 is airtime and bundles. Option 4 is allow cash out. Option 5 is financial services, and option 6 is my wallet. Okay, so now you ask a user to choose. So you write menu. So the user will choose either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So any one of them user will choose. So how do you implement it? If a user have choose 1, or if a user has choose 2, or if a user has choose 3, and so on. Now what happened when the user choose 7, which is not among the list? Okay, so that one too, we will talk about it. Okay, so in this example, it just says incorrect choice, try again, then it gives you the menu again if you choose anything other than between 1 and 6. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so a program chooses a more alternate statement by testing the value of key variables. So you have a list of alternatives, so it will test if it will test using the if statement. So it will test if a variable is of a particular value. So if the value is of that particular value, then it will execute a block of code in which you, the programmer, you write if that condition is true. Okay, so if the if statement is either the condition is true or false. So if it is true, then the block of code that you write will be executed. If it is false, then if you are using if and else, then if it is false, then what you put in the else statement, the block of code, will also be executed. Okay, but before you write a condition, of the if statement. So like we are on here, condition. Before you write the conditions, you need to know the conditional operators or the relational operators. So if you want to check if something is equal to, we use two double equal to. So use two double equal to sign. Remember, if you want to check if something is equal to what you have at the left hand side is equal to what you have at the right hand side, then you use a two equal to sign. Remember, two equal to sign. If you use only one, it will assign what you have at the right hand side into what you have at the left hand side, just like we've been doing, assigning a value to a variable. It will assign that value there. Okay, so remember, for comparison, when you are checking if something is equal to something, we use two equal to sign. Okay, now if you want to check if it is not equal to, then we use the exclamation mark with the equal to sign. So if you want to check if something is not equal to, we use the exclamation mark and the equal to sign. Now if you want to check if something is less than, we use a less than sign. If you want to check if something is less than or equal to, we use a less than and the equal to sign. Now if we want to check something is greater than, we use a greater than sign. Now if you want to check if something is greater than or equal to, we use a greater than then equal to sign. Now if you want to check if an option is or, whether it is this or that, then we use these two straight lines. Okay, so we use two of them. So if it is this or, so this is called or. Then the end is, if the end means this and that. Okay, so if you are comparing two things and if both of them are true, then that block of code will be executed. So this means and this means or. This means greater than or equal to. This means greater than. This means less than or equal to. This means less than. This means not equal to. And that one means equal to operator. Remember, if you don't make it a single operator, because your condition will be true if you are assigning a value to it. Okay, so it is two equal to sign. Always remember. Okay, so for example, if you have so when we get to the more than two alternatives, then we can have an example of the Momo example. Yes, that will display if option 1 is selected, we will display option 1 selected, or we'll write the title of what is supposed to be selected. Okay, now with the three logical operators, the and, or not equal to, we can form complicated conditions or logical expressions. Okay, so in this case, it says that we can have a number of conditions. Okay, so with the and the or not equal to, we can form a number of conditions. Now for the conditions, for the or, if one of them is true, then all of them will be true, because it means either this or that. So if one of them is true, then all of them, or the block of code, will be executed, because at least one of them is true. Then the and means both of them must be true, because it means if you write if this and that, it means both of them must be true. Then not equal to, if it's not equal to, that one will also return true. Okay, so for example, so if you write, let's say for example, if salary is less than minimum salary, or salary or dependent is greater than 5. So if dependent is greater than 5, this part will be true. So the block of code you write will be executed. If salary is less than minimum salary, the block of code, and that will be true. So the block of code that you write will be executed, and so on. So you can see that we've used and for two conditions. So if this condition and that condition is true, then the block of code will be executed. Okay, so that's basically the and, the or, and the not equal to, how they are being used. Okay, so now let's come to the if statement. So the if statement check if a condition is true. Now if a condition is true, you the programmer, based on what you are doing, you write a block of code between these curly brackets. Okay, so you write if, then the condition. So you check if the condition is true. The condition is formed from any of these. So any of the operators: equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or, and all those things. Okay, so that's what we use the if. So the if, that's this one, the condition comes here. So based on what you are writing and the condition that will come here. So if this condition is true, the block of code, whatever you write in this block of code, will be executed. Okay, so for example, if you want to write a program to ask the user to enter the age, so if the user enters 18 and above, you tell the user that you are an adult. So if user enters less than 18, we tell the user that you are not an adult. Okay, so that's basically the simple code we write. So first, you have to take the input from the user, and age, we are going to use an integer value. So you start a new project, so new console application. So this is for, okay, so okay, so here, as you know, we need to declare the variable for the age. So int age. Okay, now we need to tell the user to enter age. So print f, please enter your age. Okay, then scan f, we take the age from the user. So the scan, what did we say is the scan? We use a placeholder. So the placeholder for integer is %d. Then the memory, we use the end and the name of the memory. So the end and the name of the memory is age. Okay, so now we've taken the age from the user. So this is where our condition, the if statement, comes in. So we write if. Okay, now the age, so what we are comparing to, the age is at the left hand side. So if age is greater than or equal to, because 18 and above, it means you can be 18 or if you are above, so 18 or greater, so greater than 18 or equal to or greater than 18. So like I've explained, this means greater than or equal to. So if our age is greater than or equal to 18, you just display on the screen, so print f, you are an adult. So we can run it. So let me go over the code again. So first we declare our variable age. We reserve a space on the memory where when we take the age from the user, we are going to store it. Then we need to give instruction to the user. So we print on the screen, enter your age. Now, taking input from the user, we've done this already. So we use a scanf to take input from the user. Then the scanf, the double quotation, the placeholder for integer will come, which is %d, then comma, then we write the name of the memory. So we write the end key, then the name we've given to that memory. So when this line of code will take the input from the user, then store it in that name. So now we need to compare the value we have on the memory. So that's where we start with our if statement. So if our age is greater than or equal to, we say greater than or equal to, we write a greater than, then the equal to follow. So if our age is greater than or equal to 18, we just print on the screen, you are an adult. Okay. Now, why do we add equal to? Because 18 and above. So 18 is also inclusive. That's why we added equal to. So it can be greater than or equal to because 18 is also inclusive. So let's run our code and let's see. Okay, enter your age. So let me enter 18. Okay, so as you can see, you are an adult. So let me enter 17 and let's see. Now 17 will not come between any of these, so nothing will happen because it will not come between our curly bracket. So if I enter 17, you will not see anything because it will not enter. As you can see, there is nothing showing. So only when this condition is true before what we put in the curly bracket will be executed. So this is one alternate. So this is one alternate. Now if you want two alternatives where if the top condition is not true, then we'll do something, then that one we call it two alternatives. So that one we use if and else. So after this curly bracket, you just write else, then another curly bracket. Okay, so this is the two alternatives. So if it is not what I have at the top, then execute what I have over here. So if the condition here is false, then execute what I have here. So these are two alternatives. So two alternatives is if and else. So if the condition I have at the top is true, execute what I have here. If not, you execute what I put in the curly bracket. So if not, we just print you are not an adult. Okay. Okay. So our two alternatives. If it is not the condition I have at the top, then execute what I put in the else key brackets. Okay. So now I run this and I enter 17 again. Then you see that it will fall within here because 17 is not greater than 18, so it will fall within here. Printf. Sorry, printf. Okay. So I'm going to enter 17. Okay, you are not an adult, so that's it. So this is two alternatives. It is not if it is not what is at the top, then execute what I put in the curly brackets in the else condition. So two alternatives, we have if and else. If and else is for two alternatives. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so we've seen the two alternatives. So if then the condition. So if the condition is not true, then whatever I put in the else curly bracket, execute it. Okay, so we've done this already. So if it's not an age, you are underage or you are not an adult. Okay. Now we have with the compound statement then three or more alternatives. So three or more alternatives. For the three or more alternatives, we have if, then else if, then else if. So as many else if, as many else if, then the last one will be else. Okay, so we have if, then in between the other alternatives else if, then our last is going to be else. Okay, so now let's write our mobile money example. We are going to ask the user to enter the option. So we write menu, then option 1 this, option 2 that, option 3 that. So the user will choose. So if the user choose any of the options, if user choose 1, we write mobile money transfer. If user choose to, then you write the option the user have chosen, the rest. Else means if none of the above, if the user didn't choose any of the above, then we write invalid option selected or invalid option. Okay, so first we need to declare a variable for our option. Okay, so this is where we ask the user to enter. So this one we have menu. Okay, so if you can dial whatever mobile money network you are using, you can dial the star 170 hash. Then you write the menu. Okay, so for mobile money, MTN mobile money, we have menu. Then after menu, so the new lines we use a /n. Okay, so we have one. So transfer money. So the next line, which is to Momo pay and pay bill. Okay, then option 3, airtime and bundles. Then option 4, allow cash out. Then option 5, financial service. And option 6, my wallet. Okay, so for now, let me just do this one, do step by step. So I'm going to display this and let's see how it shows. Okay, so okay, so as you can see, menu. So we have 1, transfer money. 2, Momo pay and pay bill. Then 3, airtime and bundle. Then 4, I left what is the 4? I left that. Okay, so I left the n. Okay, so n over here. So slash then the n. Okay, that will be 4. I'll cash out. Then 5, financial services. Then 6, my wallet. Okay, so now this is the option we've given to the user. So now we have to get the input the user is going to enter. So scanf. Okay, our option is an integer, so %d, then comma, our end and the name of our variable to store the option. So the variable name is option. Okay, so now we check which of the condition has been selected. So if our option, I said equal to, we use what? True double equal to. So if our option is 1, we just print f transfer money selected. Okay, so in actual production, you write the code to be executed when that option is selected. Okay, so else if our option is true, if our option is true, Momo pay and pay bill selected. Okay, so we continue. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 is airtime and bundles. Then 4 is allow cash out. Okay. Then 5 is financial services. So you can also dial your mobile money wallet short code. Then you can do yours. So if you are using Cash, if you are using Airtel to go, then you can also dial yours. So 6 is my wallet. Okay. Now else means if user didn't enter any of the above, then the else will come. So else you tell the user invalid option selected or invalid option. Okay, so basically that's it. So let's run it. So like I said, after the first if all the rest will be else if until our last check-in. So else if, and our last one is else. So if none of the above conditions, so it first start from 1, it check. If it's true, it execute what you put in the curly bracket. If it is not, it comes to the second one. If it is true, it will execute whatever you put in the curly bracket, and so on. So if none of the above it's true, before it will come to the else. Okay, so we run this one. So first I'm going to choose option 4. Option 4. Okay. So allow cash out selected. Okay. Okay. So if you want the listen to start on a new line, you can also put end over here. So the next one will start on the new line. So when the 4 which is entered will start on the new line. Then if you want the result also to start on a new line, then we have our end here, so that it will not be next to our 4. Okay. Okay, so let's run this. So this time I'm going to choose 7, and let's see what it tells us. So the 7 will go in our last else. Okay, so I choose 7. Okay, so as you can see, it says invalid option. Okay, so that's the example for more than 2 alternatives. So in between them, else if, and the last one is else. So in actual production, you the programmer, you write the method to implement the transfer mobile money select when the user select that one, or you write the method to implement Momo Pay and Paygo. If the user choose 3, write a method to implement airtime and bundle features. So all this, we write the features when the user has entered those options. Okay, so basically that's it. So try to do that with your mobile money network as well. Okay, so now we are going to do the grading system for King's University. Okay, so in the King's University, this is the grading system which is being used. So from 80 and above is grade A, from 75 to 79 is grade B, from 78 to 74 is B, and so on. Okay, so in this example, we are going to start the condition from the top. So we are going to use the lower boundary. So if it's 80 and above, it means that the person has gotten A. 80 and above, because 80 is inclusive. So 80 and above A. Now if not top one, but the person gets 70 5 and above. So and above means first it failed this one, so the above cannot be 80 because it failed this part. So the above can be 75, 76, and so on. So if it's 75 and above, so 70, so if our grade, we ask the user to enter the grade. So if our grade is greater than or equal to 75, then it's B plus. Then here to if our grade, if it fails over here, then we come to the next option. So if our grade is greater than or equal to 70, then it comes over here. If our grade is greater than or equal to 75, then it comes here, and so on. Okay, so let's write the code. So grade should be float or double, so because it can be decimal. So I mean score, so score. So we ask the user to enter the score, so the score should be double. So we ask the user to enter score. So enter your examination score. Okay, so we are going to take the score from the user. This is double, so LF and score. Okay, so here if our score is greater than, so if our score is greater than or equal to 80, then all we need to output is what? Grade A. So else if our score is greater than or equal to 75, all we need to output is grade B plus. Okay, so let's okay, so the next one is I think 70 and above is grade B. Then 65 and above is C plus. Then 60 and above, 60 and above is C. Then 55 and above is D plus. Then 50 and above is D. D. Okay, so if you anything else is E. E. Okay, so anything else it goes to the else. So we start from the top. So 80 and above is A. Now if you don't fall within this range, then we come to the next possible option. So 75 and above, then 75 and above, 80 is not inclusive because we've already validated this part. So if you don't fall within, then it means the 70, if you fall within here, your 75 and above will be between 75, 75.5, 76, and so on. So now the next one, you check the net. If it is not the top, it's not in any of this range, you check the next one. If it's not in any of that range, you check. So you keep on checking. So if all the top one failed, so if from here to here they all fail, then it means it's none of the above. So it's going to be the last else, which is going to be grade E. Okay, so let's run this and let's see. So I'm going to enter my score to be 70. So 70 will fall where? So enter your examination score 70. Okay, so 70 is grade B. So 70 is grade B. Let's see. Okay, so it says 70 and above. So 70 is grade B. So let me enter 45. So 45. So 45 is C. Okay, so 45 is C. Okay, so that's it for the grading system. So it's not that so difficult. So first you check top condition. If the top fails, you check with the next checking. If it fails, it goes there, it continues until if none of the above they all fail,
then whatever you want to write or accomplish here, then it goes in the else statement. Okay, so what we've done is what is there. So this you can also use uh, the what we formatting of floats or decimals to format your values of your score. So this is just to make it a little fun by the same thing. So here it prints the score that the user enters, then percentage. So if the user enters 80, going to be 80 percentage grade A and so on. Okay, so that's also uh, how it was done. So we are now in nested if. So nested if is an if in another if statement. So if you have one if statement in another if statement, that's what we refer to as a nested if. So in this example, it says that, for example, suppose you want to pay 50 Ghana cedis bonus to a salesperson. Only if the salesperson sells at least 3 items. So before you get your 50 Ghana bonus, you need to sell 3 items. And the total amount that has been sold should be 1,000 or above. So 1,000 or above. So first, we need to check if user has uh, sold 3 items. If not, then you are not qualified for the bonus. Now, if the user has sold 3 items, we need to check again if the total amount the user has sold is 1,000 or above. If not, the person is not qualified for the bonus. But if it is, then it qualifies for the bonus. So the second part goes is the if and nested if statement, because it will be in this first if statement that is true, the 3 items. So if the 3 item is true, which is the if statement, if it's true, then another if will check if it is 1,000 or above. Okay, so that makes it a nested if. Okay, so in this example, we define the minimum items to sell, which is 3, and we define the minimum value, which is 1,000. Okay, so we write double each item sold. So we ask the user to enter the total amount of sales. Then we ask the user to enter the items sold. So we get the values from the user. Okay, so we get the items the user has sold. Okay, so here it check the items the user has sold. So if the item the user has sold is greater than or equal to minimum items, here we say the minimum items is 3, we define it here. So if it is greater than or equal to, then this block of code will be executed. So in this block of code, in this I think it comes it comes here. No, it comes here. Okay. So this block of code ends over here. So if it's greater than or equal to 3, then all that we write here will be executed. Other than that, then you are not qualified for a bonus. So we go here. So now if it's 3 and above, now we need another second alternate. We need the second if statement. So now we get the total items which it has been sold. Then if the value is greater than or equal to 1,000, then we write we are qualified. Other than that, you are not qualified for the bonus. So this part is the nested if. So we have an if in another if. So if this if condition is true, then we check again with another if in it inside it. So that's what makes it a nested if. Okay. So we'll come finally on the switch statement. So for switch statement, it's similar to the if statement. So it's also used for control structure. So in the switch statement, the syntax is this way. You write your switch. Now in the switch, you write a comparator. What we need to compare uh, we need to compare to. The comparator can be a value, it can be an expression. So if it's an expression or a value, whatever it is, you can put it here. So now we check the value, the comparator to the values here. So if this comparator matches the value we have here, we write our block of code on what we want to achieve, then else then we break. Okay, so else we break, then we continue. So if it is true, we write the code we break. So break makes it exit the switch statement. So once it's matched with our value that we are comparing to, it will not continue with the other ones. The break makes it that it will not continue with the other one. It just keep that block of code. So if, for example, if this statement is true over here, when it gets to the break, it skip all this part, then it come here, then it will move to this part. So the below, all the code below it will not run. Okay, so that's basically what the switch is. So for example, write a program which asks a student to enter the level of year of his study. So if the user enters 1, we write you are a fresher. If the user entered 2, you are level 200, 3 level 300, 4, you are in your final year. Any other value, we write invalid. Okay, so now if all the top ones, if none of them match, then we call the default. So the default is if none of the above cases. So you have case. So you case and its value. So you case this is this, then you write your code. Case this is this, then you write your code. Case this is this, then you write your code. Then any times that, then you break. When you finish executing your code, you break from the switch curly bracket. Now, if it's none of the above, like the else we have in the if statement, with that one we use the default. So we call the default, then we write what should be executed if it is none of the above. Okay, so we are going to write this code. So we write a program which asks a student to enter the level of year of his study. So first we need to ask the user to enter the year of study. So year of study is going to be int. So int year. So enter your year of study. Okay. So percentage d because it's an integer. Okay. So now here we have our switch. Okay. So switch says the keyword switch. Okay. Then the value and the comparator. Here we are comparing the year. Okay. Then the rest will be case. So in case we use case 1. So in case our year is 1. Okay. Then print f you are a fresher. Okay. So now if it's this that one we break. So we call break. Then case is 2. Case is 2. Then we print out you are in level 200. Level 200. Then we break. Then case 3 print you are in level 300. Then we break. In case 4 print you are in your final year. Okay. Now if none of the above is default, so you need to break here. We break after this. None of the above, we use default. Okay, so printf invalid input, invalid option or something, invalid invalid here. Okay. Okay, enter the level. So let's make this one level. Okay, so enter your academic level of study. So you get a year from the user, a level from the user. So you compare the level. Okay, so 1, then 2, 3, and so on. Okay, so let's run this and see if everything is okay. So enter your academic level. So let's say 3. So you are in level 300. Okay. So let me enter 5. Okay, so invalid level or year. So we make this one level. So invalid level. Okay. So the default. So let's say if you don't break any of them. Okay. So let's say we don't break at this part. So let's see we don't break any of the, the things we have here. Let's see what happens. So let's say I don't put a break after case 1. Let's user enter level 1. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to enter 1. Let's see. I didn't break after I've executed my code for 1. So let's see. So as you can see, it didn't break. So the others continue. So you are a fresher. It goes there. Then you are in level 200. It goes to you are in level 200. It came here too. Came here too because we didn't break. So once you finish, just break. Once any of the case match, you just break. Okay, so that's it for the switch. So that's it for the switch. Okay, so write a program which asks a user to enter an integer number. The program should output if the number is an even number or not. Okay, so you try to use a switch. In this example, the solution was made in if statement. So you try to use a switch statement to implement that. But for the if statement, last time we talked about remainder. So we use a remainder operator. So we check the modulus 2 of that number. So if the modulus 2 of that number is 0, which means that when you find the modulus of that number, we didn't get any remainder, then it means 2 is divisible by 8. So it's an even number. So if we find the modulus 2 of that number and it is 0, then it's an even number. So we will print on the screen the number is an even number, else it is an odd number. Okay, so try to do that with the switch statement. So the switch statement, so the tip and the tip is that for the switch statement, this will be your comparator. Okay, this will be your comparator, and the cases will be true or false. So the cases will be true. So case true, then you write your syntax. Case false, you write your syntax. Okay, so that's the tips I've given you. But you code it. If you have any challenge, you let me know. Okay, so that's basically about the control structures. So if one alternates, we use the if, then the condition. If it's two alternatives, then if, then if not the if condition, then else. Then write the code in the else block of code. Now if it's 3 or more, all the ones that will come after the if are all else if. and the last one are going to be else. Then you write your block of code, what should be executed if the condition is true. Okay, so basically that's it for this week. What we learned for this week. Then we have the nested if. Nested if is an if statement and another if. So if the first if statement is true, then there will be another if in that curly bracket to check again. So that's what we refer to as the nested if. But thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Then if you need any assistance, you know where to contact me. On the home page, you just click chat with an instructor, then you can chat with me. If you don't have an account, you just have to create an account. If you don't have an account, you just log in and just send me a message. If you have any challenge too, you can post your comment. So you just log in and post your leave your comment. So whatever the challenge you are going through, you can post it. Then I can assist you as well as those other students who are also following the course can as well answer your question. But thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.